Once again, new podcast in the description. Favorite all-time NBA players, and then filling out my Kanye West favorite song bracket. And earlier I talked about Lonzo Ball, which is always a heated discussion. I think this one, it's not as hot as anything Lonzo related, but I think it's still a little heated. The Donovan Mitchell versus Ben Simmons Rookie of the Year debate, which pretty much comes down to, do you value Donovan Mitchell's scoring as well as leadership of the Jazz as a rookie versus Ben Simmons' all-around game? The rebounding, the playmaking, both of them are good defenders, and all that stuff. As the title says, my choice is Ben Simmons for Rookie of the Year. Does that mean I think Donovan Mitchell is too far behind Simmons? No, I think Mitchell, in a normal rookie season, would probably be the winner. It's just that Simmons is something extra special here. So, if we dive into this whole thing, a big thing that I think a lot of people have gone with for the anti-Simmons thing, number one is the idea that he's just not technically a rookie, which, I'll be real, I do think there is like some valid things said in there about, well, he's been around NBA coaches and trainers and video people for a year. Like, that's a thing, but I don't think it's too drastic to where we should knock guys out of the discussion just because they missed their first technical season, right? But the other thing you could say about Simmons was, well, he hasn't been very good when Embiid is not playing. Here's the thing about that. If you look since, I'm looking since January 1st. I mean, it might even be earlier than that. Simmons has been able to give Philadelphia positive minutes in terms of like net rating and all that stuff when Embiid is not in the game since, the last couple of months. So since January 1st, Philadelphia has been rolling with a few lineups without Embiid with Simmons that have been good. There's been Simmons with Dario Saric, TJ McConnell, Amir Johnson, and Robert Covington. That lineup is a positive 3. There was a lineup that they were running that was actually like really good for plus 21, which was Simmons, Dario Saric, TJ McConnell, Amir Johnson, and then Justin Anderson. There have been lineups with Marco Bellinelli since they've acquired him that have actually been positive. There have been a couple lineups with Luau, Cabaret, and Covington that have been good. He's been figuring it out. And, I don't think we should be too shocked because, Simmons' ability in the pick and roll, his abilities as a playmaker, full court, half court, whatever it may be. And a funny thing is, for all the talk about how Philadelphia is only good when Embiid's in there, and to be fair, when Embiid and Simmons are in there, they're like a devastating team. They're 6 points worse offensively when Ben Simmons is not in the game as well. And I think this makes sense because just look at the amount of like actual passers on their team. There's him and like TJ McConnell, depending on the day. McConnell's like a serviceable enough backup point guard, but Embiid's a not bad passer out of the post and all that, but Simmons' workload for a rookie is pretty insane, and I know Donovan Mitchell's is also kind of otherworldly with what he's being asked to do for Utah, and I'll get into Donovan Mitchell, don't worry about that, but we can't act like Simmons is being given a normal workload as well. He's playing 35 minutes a game, he's the team's point guard, second highest in usage rate behind Joel Embiid. They're asking him to do quite a lot, and he's got them at, he's got them doing well. They're the 6th seed in the East right now. Now, of course, the shooting is a real thing with Simmons, and I do think the shooting discussion is a little bit more tailored to, like, who would be better between these two 4 years from now, as opposed to who's having the better rookie season, but, I think looking at, like, who you think is the better player outside of the stats matters a bit in the Rookie of the Year discussion as well. The thing with Simmons is, like, even if you leave him open, he's still going to kill you because he can just attack closeouts so well. He's also really good at just kind of lingering within the three-point line to where he doesn't have to have as much of a distance from himself to the basket. He is also strong as hell, and if he gets ahead of steam, he can already kind of knock guys away from him, and they bounce off of him as he finishes around the basket. And I mean, I think Simmons is just having a really special rookie season. I did some stat finding on Basketball Reference, and as far as I know, this has probably been thrown up on ESPN like a million times. I don't watch ESPN, but I have to assume this is a thing that they would do. There's only been 3 rookies in the history of the NBA to average 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. It's Oscar Robertson, Magic Johnson, and it's Ben Simmons, That's like kind of a decent case for Rookie of the Year, if you ask me. Anyway, let's get to Donovan Mitchell. It's insane that he has been able to carry Utah the way he has over their incredible winning streak, which they're 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 9 in a row. They were on a big streak beforehand. And Mitchell's ability in the pick and roll, ability in isolation, and the fact that he's shooting threes with a guy in his face, taking step backs, pull up threes on pick and rolls, that stuff is, things that you wouldn't expect a rookie to be able to do. The Jazz are a much better team when Mitchell is in the game as opposed to not in there. And it's kind of crazy how a bunch of veterans on this team really look to this 21-year-old as being their source of offense. And because I looked for some Ben Simmons stats in reference to other rookies, I did the same thing with Donovan Mitchell. This one was a bit nerdier. I looked up rookies who have averaged at least 19 points a game, had an assist percentage of at least 19%, and a usage rate of at least 28%. And there are 5 guys: Allen Iverson, Ron Harper, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan. So, yes, Donovan Mitchell is also having himself a very impressive rookie year. But I do think Simmons, to me, when I look at what he's doing, I see someone who could go down as one of the 20 to 25 best players of all time, just given where his starting point has been right now. A guy who's maybe going to be among the all-time leaders in triple-doubles and all that stuff. And I see Mitchell, and I see a guy who can be really good, like really, really good, but he's a little more normal than Simmons is, I guess. Once again, in a typical Rookie of the Year season, maybe Mitchell wins, probably does win. I mean, hell, he could go nuts the rest of this season and seal it over Simmons. I don't think he's going to, but I guess it's possible. But I gotta go with Ben. So, yeah. Now, another thing that I have seen on Twitter a little bit is that expectations may be swaying this, where people have been saying, yeah, well, no one expected Mitchell to do this, and everyone expected this from Simmons. I think that's irrelevant. I think all you can do is look at the seasons they've had. I don't think you should reward Mitchell with extra points because he's surprising everyone. Now, if you wanted to give him extra points because he's doing it in the Western Conference, I think that's fair. Now, I am also the biggest Rudy Gobert fan in the world, and I will say that Gobert's return, and then also return to being himself on defense, has also allowed Utah to go on this crazy run. But you could also bring the counter back to, well, if Simmons didn't have Joel Embiid. So I think there's reasoning for both. There's criticisms you could throw at either one of them. Not many criticisms, but I guess a few. But if you make me pick, I'm going to go with Ben Simmons. So, yeah. It's a very close race. Hell of a rookie class overall. I mean, you go past those two, you got Tatum, Markkanen, Dennis Smith, Lonzo, Kuzma, 4 other players that I'm forgetting that I'm going to make someone mad by forgetting. A lot of good players in this rookie class. It's a good thing. But that's going to do it. Shout out to Ben Simmons. Shout out to Mitchell. Shout out to Derek Favors. New podcast once again. Favorite all-time NBA players. Kanye West bracket. And I'm done.